We're back again, and this is the moment that most of us have been waiting for. Our first game from our Let's Retro series in FM06. We are back with Luton Town for the first game of the Championship season against Millwall. It's an uphill task to try and secure survival this year, but before we head into our match, we've also got some transfer and some tactical news, which will hopefully help us on the way. Before that though, we did have our introduction to this Luton Town save yesterday. If you miss meeting the players, the staff and seeing our budgets and expectations, you can find all of that stuff up in the eye above. A massive thank you to everyone who supported it, watched it and got involved. It's been so great. I'm really enjoying it and I hope you guys will as well. But today we've got work to do. We're into our first game of the season. We know this is going to be a struggle. Let's go and see if we can produce the goods in our first game in charge at Luton Town. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 2 of our FM06 Let's Retro save from Luton Town. My beloved club have returned to the Championship and our job is to keep them there and then try and improve. We are back today for our first game against Millwall. We're at home to a side expected to be in the bottom half. We are unfortunately underdogs. However, you've got to remember that in this universe, just over a year ago, Millwall were in the FA Cup final against Manchester United. We're going to worry about other things though, because we've got transfers, tactics and plenty to look forward to before we go into our first game. So hopefully you're looking forward to all of that. If you are, please do chuck a thumbs up on it. But for now, we're going to start with a little bit of transfer news from Luton Town, because although it's not been much so far, there is potentially more along the way. So you may think, what, you've only got one player in? Not quite the case at the moment. We've actually got two, but back in the old FMs, it used to be separated by transfers, loans and everything else. But then we did say that the priority was getting a replacement goalkeeper. We've gone and done that with a young keeper who I think has got pretty big potential. Lee Grant is from Derby County. He cost £50,000 and he came in, 3 or 4 days ago. He is a 22-year-old former under-21 keeper for England. 6'3", only on £1,500 a week on a 3-year deal. And despite having a little deficit on the composure front, there are many other areas where I'm far more excited. The first thing we have to acknowledge is he is a million times better than Marlon Beresford, and he's also better than Rob Beckwith, who's going out on loan to continue his development soon. He's got great jumping reach and agility, he's got good positioning, which I always value, and his attributes as a goalkeeper are pretty good across the board, including, crucially, the reflexes and the kicking, which will be important when we've got to lump the ball accurately to Steve Howard. Overall, I think he's a good upgrade. He must have a bit more potential as well. Very hard to tell in FM06 because you get the most basic of scout reports. You don't even get told whether you should sign them, how good they are in comparison. You just get told, yeah, he'd be a decent player, yeah, he'd be all right, or nah, you should avoid him. That's about it. But Lee Grant is going to be our new number 1 despite being our number 13. And he's been joined by a bit of a utility man because without much budget and with a few young players we want to break through, I just sort of wanted to have backups that were going to be able to hold themselves. I'm pretty happy with the 11 we've got, bar possibly a centre midfielder, which we're trying to sign. So it was just about having backup players that were going to be of a decent standard and can maybe cover multiple positions. So as a result, we've gone for the ultimate versatile utility man in defence. Young Martin Craney has joined on loan from Southampton. He's an 18-year-old defender who can play right back, left back, centre half. Exactly what we needed. We couldn't find a good backup central defender or a good backup left back. So I just thought, well, let's just get someone who can do all of it. And Martin Craney will be that man. He's improving in training already. I used to love these little arrows. This was the way it was supposed to be. Brilliant bravery, composure, concentration. Not enormous physically and not brilliant technically, but a very good young player mentally. He's got room for improvement and he's certainly versatile, which is what we need. His most natural position is right back, where he'll probably never play for us because of Foley and Keane. He can certainly do a job in plenty of others. Can step into midfield if we need it to. Martin Craney, great utility signing, and only £500 a week in wages. I'm happy with that. Let's go and have a look at the other area where we've made the most improvements though, and that is staffing. As we mentioned, there's not really a definition of how many staff you can have. It is just stay under the budget. So as a result, in addition to keeping what we had, we've added in a huge number who I feel will improve us. Some of the names you'll recognise, some you'll have never heard of. We start with Mick Goodin, who, as you can see, just a pretty solid coach across the board, does everything well without doing anything spectacularly. but certainly gives us an improvement on what we had. Warren Joyce is a name you probably will recognise. He's a very good coach, good on the fitness front, pretty good working with young players as well, which we've got plenty of. Again, someone who will improve us massively. Max Griggs focused on the man management, but also focused on determination and solid coaching across the board. Bit better on the technical and the defensive side than we've got elsewhere. So another useful addition. And because he's unproven, virtually no wage at all. Roberto Forzini comes in as a 43-year-old. Again, great working with youngsters. Good man management, better on the attacking side this time, but also the determination and discipline. Those three mental attributes, level of discipline, determination and motivating, used to be so important in the old FMs for coaches. And to be fair, he's got pretty special attributes in all of those fronts. Let's go and have a look at David Jarrett, who's next. He comes in as a scout, only 23 years of age, room for improvement, but already a 15 for judging ability and potential. Looks like we've got a star scout for the future there. And he's joined by Bob Pearson, who has the same key attributes and probably better other ones as well. Great tactical knowledge, brilliant judgment of youngsters as well. Something that's going to be absolutely crucial moving forward. And then the final one, couldn't forget the physio team, could we? David Swift is in, physiotherapy rating of 16 and helps improve the medical side of the football club as well. Doesn't matter how far back you go in FM, improving the coaching, for me, has always been the most important element. As a result of that, the finances are taking a little bit of a hit because we've spent a little bit of the transfer budget. We're spending a bit more a week on the staffing wages in particular. And we've also got a couple of upgrades on the playing wages because we mentioned about the people who needed new contracts. Well, we've managed to sort a few of them out. Kevin Nichols has signed a new deal till 2008, as has Chris Coyne. And most importantly, Kevin Foley has done so too and agreed to have it without the release clause. So he's going to be someone we can build around. No idea why his value's dropped by about 80%, but maybe that's just because no one's going to be actively coming in for him. I'm not going to complain either way. Of the players that you can see remaining here, we've still got a few of the older ones to make decisions on and a couple of the backup players too. And Rob Beckwith is still here at the minute, but looks like he's going to Cheltenham pretty soon. So hopefully he'll get some improvement there. He is one of several youngsters who will be leaving the club. If we go and have a look at the loans out, Calvin Andrew, Stephen O'Leary, Dean Brill, Danny Stevens, who I didn't mention but is okay. All of them have left the club. And they are people who will hopefully get regular football because Andrew and O'Leary have both gone to Leyton Orient in League 2. Calvin Andrews up front, Stephen O'Leary already injured. And then in goal, we've got Dean Brill, who's gone to Billericay, who are outside the playable leagues at the minute, but he's gone there with Stuart Richardson, and hopefully he can have a good half a year, then go and push on to a bigger club, maybe at National League level. Overall, though, it's been a pretty good summer window so far. We are still desperate to try and sign a centre midfielder and someone who can cover on the left of midfield. I made a couple of very optimistic bids that didn't work out. One of the original stars of FM06, Lebahang Mokoena, who used to be a superstar from South Africa. Strangely, he rejected us to go to Villarreal. I'm not surprised by that. We also put in an ambitious bid for Richard Hughes, who I used to love in this game. If I was ever a Premier League club, I'd sign him. Unfortunately, I don't think we've got the budget, so I've put in a cheeky loan bid and we'll see what happens. We've also tried to find a couple of other centre midfield options if that doesn't work out. So Dixon Atuhu, who is at Preston, someone we've made a bid for. We'll see what happens because one of the things I feel we're missing in our team is physicality. And not only is he 6'2", great in the air, give us another option from set pieces, he can run all day, something that none of our midfielders can do. And he's probably better technically as well on the defensive side, and he's got a finish in him, which none of our other midfielders really have. So Dixon Atuhu would be an ideal signing. Keith Southern is another option on that front, who's not quite as good at it, not quite as physical or tall, but he's got the mental attributes as well. So I'm hoping we can secure one of those two. I'm also looking on the left of midfield at a couple of options in particular. Try and sign Lewis Emmanuel, who they bought in real life a year later, can play left back and left midfield, is a decent young player. And also 17-year-old Robert Snodgrass, who is at Livingston. His natural position is actually striker in this game, but I think he'd be a pretty handy left mid for us. So if we could get him in, I'd be really pleased as well. But I think our priority has to be getting one of the two centre midfielders and then just seeing if we have any transfer budget left. We've managed to keep the wage bill down. We did lose out on Kevin Ellison, who rejected a move to us, but again, we're not going to lose too much sleep over that. We are just going to focus on our first game of the season because we are now in a really good position. We've got a couple of players in. We've sorted out our tactic. And this is what we're going to go for today. For Luton versus Millwall, we have picked a team that I think gives us our best opportunity to play to our strengths. We're going to focus on getting the ball out wide. Underwood and Berkovic have got fantastic crossing ability, so we want to get it to them and get them to get the ball in the box because big Steve Howard is in the middle. I did think about going him and Shawunmi just so we had the two big boys in there, but I've got to go on quality. And at the moment, they are the best two, him and Feeney. Dean Morgan on the bench in behind them. So our 11 for today sees one debutant in Lee Grant in goal. We've also gone for young Foley at right back with Sol Davis on the left. Heikkinen and Coyne unpredictably at the middle two. Berkovic and Underwood the wide men. Keith Keane is starting in centre midfield, and the reason for that is because Steve Robinson has missed most of pre-season, and while he is back in training, he's only 73% condition, so not going to be going anywhere soon. Basically, the magic number was 93 or 94 in the early FMs. If they weren't at that, you weren't really going to have a chance to play them. And then up front, we've gone for Warren Feeney and Steve Howard. Keith Keane is alongside Kevin Nichols, the skipper. And the bench is a little bit threadbare. And the only thing that was hard is choosing the strikers. I feel a bit bad leaving Rowan Vine and Shawunmi out, but realistically, I'm not going to take Steve Howard off if we're chasing a game. So unless he gets injured, in which case he won't be starting a match, there's no point of us having a sub for him. He'll be staying on, Nichols will be staying on, and so will Chris Coyne. The rest of the team, though, pretty much picks itself. So we are going to go and get into our first game of the season with a very direct tactic. We're going to play long, set up slightly more defensively, and try and hit on the counter at speed. We're going to focus our passing down both wings, and then we're going to cross the ball early. We're going to try and take advantage of set pieces by pummeling the 6-yard box and getting Howard and Chris Coyne under everything. Hopefully Dixon are two who will come in and add to that soon. And of course, we're going to supply the target man to his head because Steve Howard is a monster in the air, and hopefully that's what's going to fire us to survival. So you can see where we've set up the wide players, all of the sliders are focused on getting the ball wide, crossing the ball often, and aiming for the target man. Don't care where you cross it from, just want to make sure that you hit them. So essentially, I've pinned my whole system on one player, and if he gets injured, we might be in trouble. I will do a very quick update of the team report before we get into this game, because just to see how it's changed now. And you can see that Lee Grant is definitely the first choice goalkeeper by a long way. The rest of the team, the strength in depth hasn't changed. The only difference is when you go to the second team, Martin Craney is now a professional standard backup left back. We're still very short where David Deeney and Stuart Sinclair, youngsters with no real ability, are making it into our second 11. So through to the game we go, our first of the season with Luton Town. We are expected to go down. We're in big trouble, but we've got a chance with Steve Howard up front. Well, here we are, as both sides set up with a variation of the 4-4-2. Phil Eiffel, a superstar at right back for Millwall, their key player for sure. Paul Robinson, a leader in the middle. Jody Morris in there as well. And up front, the legendary duo, Asaba and Hales. That could be a very torrid afternoon for our centre-halves. We do get to choose what screen we're watching when it's not a key highlight as well. So we're going to stick with the player ratings, always the way I've gone. You keep an eye on the condition, you keep an eye on how you're playing. Let's just go into our first half, see what the match speed's like, and we'll adjust it as we need to. I'm just hoping we can get a result as Kevin Nichols over a free kick. I think we can go a little quicker than that as Howard heads over the bar. We'll push the match speed up a little. 10 minutes gone though. We've had the first chance of the game. There's not been too much in it so far. Look at the match stats. No shot on target for either side. We have picked up the first yellow as Jody Morris in, and that should have been 1-0. Fangero gets in behind, puts it over the bar. Probably two of the most direct teams in the championship going head to head here. We've managed to hold on for half an hour, which is great. I just worry about us out wide. We've just not got the pace to deal with it. Chris Coyne does really well defensively there. Hopefully, we can deal with the corner as well as Fangero puts it in. Dealt with by the goalkeeper. Great save from Lee Grant. It's cleared away downfield. But I think you're seeing here that we are the second best team on this football pitch. And it's not really working out for us, though. Keith Keane nicks it for Howard. Into midfield, Jody Morris finds Siriu. And the shot is high, wide and ugly. We're going to make it to half-time, I think. Just 1 minute added on. And that is good news. I'll take 0-0 at the break. We're going to go for the team talk. We're going to show some encouragement because, look, we're doing okay here. We're certainly holding our own. It's just that we're not able to create a great deal from open play. What we need, really, is to win a few cheap corners, get a few balls into the box. You can see from this, there's only been one shot on target the whole game. There's only been a couple of corners each, so we've not had that chance to pepper the box. And we're back doing defending again, as I feel, over on the left this time. Ball into the back post, it's bobbling around everywhere. Foley heads it away. Might just go a little bit slower here, actually, because I'm finding it a bit hard to follow on the quicker ones. We've given it away in a defensive area again, though. It's out for a goal kick. An hour gone, we're going to have to think about changes soon. Only 5 subs on the bench, only 3 allowed to be made, back in the golden era. I might make a change up front because Warren Feeney has not really got into it. So detailed tactics are pending. These were the days we had to wait. You press play and then at the end of a highlight, you got the chance. And now it's a big one because Millwall's Fangero has just been sent off. We didn't even see it as a highlight, which was a little bit bizarre. But Warren Feeney is going to be replaced by Dean Morgan. Berkovic is struggling physically, so we're going to bring on Carlos Edwards. And I'm probably going to save the third sub for now. But we are now playing against 10 men of Millwall. I feel like the pressure is on us to probably push up mentality-wise here, because this is one of the best chances we're going to get. I'm not going to leave too much creative freedom because I still want us to play up to Howard and play, well, pretty direct, to be honest. But these 2 changes could be the ones that help make a big difference for us. Will we be able to create the golden chance? Millwall will set up defensively now, and it's whether we can break them down. And I don't know. We've got a throw on the left with Sol Davis. In towards Morgan. Flicked on. Not able to get it into the box. It's back out towards Davis again. And Underwood. We know he's got the cross. Finds Steve Howard. Goes to Keith Keane. Oh, that's wayward. Firstly, why is Underwood not crossing it? And secondly, what on earth was that shot from Keith Keane? It was not ideal, was it? There's 10 minutes to go. I've got 1 change left and I don't really know what to do with it. Nobody's having a poor game, so I think I might just leave it as it is. I don't think there's anything we can do to improve things here. We have a look at the match stats. We've only managed 1 shot on target, but we've been in the ascendancy since. But we don't find a way to break them down. This is going to be an issue for us, I think, because we didn't really create much for Steve Howard other than that really early chance. I'm going to sympathise with the team note. We were underdogs. We played against 11 men for 66 minutes. And we still managed to pick up a point. It's not the worst start to the season, albeit there are signs of worry for me. Can we find a way to be a bit more of a threat going forwards? Quite frankly, there's no option. We're going to have to be. But a point on the board, we do not start with defeat, but it does feel a little bit like a missed opportunity. Let's have a look at the other scores about this evening. Tell you what, there are a few surprises and a lot of close games there, aren't there? Of the big boys, Leeds losing away at Sheffield Wednesday in a Yorkshire derby, Leicester and Reading drawing 1 apiece, 2 of the sides expected to be at the top, and Palace losing 3-0 at home to fellow relegated side Southampton. It's an interesting start to the Championship season, isn't it? Let's have a look at what pops up at the end of the game. We've been watching lots of players, including Hammer Boatsa from Watford, which would be a laugh. And that shows you the detail you get in the scout reports. Not a great deal at all. Honours even at Kenilworth Road, 0-0 was the score. Or what was the attendance? Did we get to see? Did it show what it was? 7,890. So far from selling out Kenilworth Road at the minute. Foley plays well as we stumble. He got an 8.0 in the end. He was struggling on a 6 with 10 minutes to go. And then we've got scout reports for the likes of Snodgrass as well. People who we're very keen on signing in the future. So hopefully we'll have some more transfer news when we return next time. But for now, let's go and look at when that will be, because we don't need to focus quite so much on the transfer window in these old FMs, because you could still sign players on 3-month loan deals throughout the closed window stage, if you like. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit here. I'm trying to pick out games that I want to do. I know the Watford derby is going to have to be shown because it's on TV. And I guess they're sort of picking it for us. They've put QPR away on TV. The game before that is Palace away, who are one of the big boys in the division. So should we do Palace and QPR as a double header? And then we'll do Watford and either Leicester or Southampton the one after that. Just try and get through a bit of this season. Try and get a couple more transfers in. And hopefully find a way to start scoring goals, because that was definitely the big worry from this one. A point on the board, but not the perfect start. It could have been so much better. If you did enjoy the video, please do chuck a thumbs up on it. Let me know where you think we can improve our goal threat. If you want to stay up to date with this series, then please do subscribe and turn that notification bell on. I've got a feeling I'm going to really enjoy this. Hopefully you guys are enjoying watching it too. Plenty more nostalgic saves to come later in the year. But for now, the focus remains on FM 2006 and Luton Town in the Championship. We'll be back every single weekday to try and continue this save and this push for glory. But hopefully you'll come and join me for the next one, as we've got a big double header, including QPR on the telly and Crystal Palace, one of the newly relegated clubs.